So tomorrow marks the new year, and Ice Pick Lodge has decided to bless us with some Bachelor route information. Around 5 hours ago, Ice Pick made this Twitter post, which links to this teletype article. I've just kind of glanced over it, but together we're going to go through all of it right now. First, let's read what the Twitter post actually says. The Bachelor takes the stage. He studies his lines in the medical records like an actor studying his text. At the end of the scene, the diagnosis sounds, the final note that will determine the further plot of the patient's life. Now, first of all, I want to take a look at this image. The way they wrote Bachelor here is interesting because the L's here can really easily be interpreted as two Roman numerals. So maybe that's like supposed to be like part 2 of Pathologic 2's route kind of type of thing. Anyway, let's take a look at the actual article. I don't think there's anything special going on in this cover image. Oh, it says, okay, down here, above the Bachelor. Oh, I guess it did say that in the other one, but I just didn't see it. It's just Pathologic Bachelor Demo Version. So I assume this might be how they're titling the game. It might not be Pathologic 2 Bachelor Route. I think it's just going to be Pathologic Bachelor. I think so. I think that's how they're going to handle this. This feels like like a branding official kind of fonts type of thing. And down here in some really dark letters, it does say demo version. So maybe this article mentions the demo version, but if not, it's probably, hopefully, that demo is going to be out soon. Alright, let's take a look at this article. Bachelor of Medicine. The hospital is a new game mechanic that challenges the protagonist's intellect. It compromises several stages. In the first stage, the player interviews the patient, and in the second, conducts a physical exam. So it looks like we have a new autopsy type system specifically for the Bachelor. In the first stage, the player interviews the patient and then conducts a physical exam. Okay, so I assume we're not going to be ripping out any organs, like the butcher, Mr. Barra. Instead, we will just be actually playing the role of doctor. Let's see. This article is quite short. I'm assuming that since it started out like this is all about the hospital game mechanics. But I'm sure that this image here, the Pathologic Bachelor demo version, is definitely hinting at something very soon. Daniil Dankovsky is a medical science savant. He's not wasting his time on ordinary patients dying from sandpass. There are dozens of them, and there's no treatment. He's called upon to observe rare, peculiar patients who refuse to die within the 5 hours like the rest of them. They exhibit unusual symptoms that shouldn't be there. Interesting. So, instead of treating infected people like Barach does, or people who are in danger of being infected, we are going to be looking at and treating people who are somehow resistant to the plague. Interesting phrasing too. They said patients who refuse to die, because we know Bachelor's all about his refusal to death and looking for a way to triumph over it. Now this image here looks kind of like how the autopsy, not the autopsy, the physical examination might be handled. It seems like we've probably interviewed this person and we've taken them behind some kind of curtain to examine them. And it seems like right now we're focusing on their arms. I assume maybe like they'll just stand there and then you can kind of like click on whatever body part you want to examine first. And then that'll bring it like center stage, kind of like how this person's arms are stretched out. Also, I don't know if it's just because I can't see the head, but this does look like a new character model. So if anyone was wondering if they're going to be reusing the old NPC models, they may not be. Alright, what's next? It's similar to solving a mathematical equation where the sum represents the present symptoms. There are several known variables, such as various circumstances of the patient's life, and several unknown. The task is to thoroughly study everything to uncover the truth. Alright, alright. A patient may disclose some details that will clarify their symptoms, or they may lie, perhaps out of embarrassment or due to a hidden motive. After the medical interview, the player needs to examine the patient's body. The player marks the present symptoms in the doctor's ledger: unusual skin discoloration, darkened veins, ulcers, and so on. In some cases, the physical examination alone is sufficient to determine the correct diagnosis. Interesting. So, we need to be extremely thorough in our examinations and the interviews because people will not always tell us the truth. They could be hiding certain things. Oh, and also, if the bachelor route really does include a lot of this body examination, this is gonna get gross. We're looking at people's ulcers, veins, there's gonna be blisters, cuts. Bachelor route may not be for the faint of heart. However, even the patient's body can be deceiving. If Dankovsky suspects this, he must explore the patient's environment and living conditions. This becomes a detective story on its own, the details of which we'll reveal later. So I'm assuming that these autopsies and interviews, not autopsies, examinations and interviews kind of happen throughout, like random parts throughout the game, kind of like Barras autopsies. And if that's the case, um, it'd be kind of strange, no? Or like to just go to somebody's house in the middle of something to figure out what exactly is going on. Unless there's these things are like very few and they're like scripted parts of the story and not kind of like RNG elements. We'll see. I need more details about that. So we have some new kind of journal. We are gonna have to take a full look at this in a bit. Look, he's on day 8. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Probably a lot of information we can get out of this. Let me just read this very last bit. And these peculiar individuals who refuse to die are the key to victory, of course. Unusual patients are glitches in the program. By collecting a sufficient number of these glitches, you can create a vaccine. That does make sense. Creating a vaccine from people who are resilient to the pest, to the sand pest. But it's very strange how they chose the word glitches for these people. Isn't it? I feel like that's an odd word choice. Anyway, let's take a look at this ledger. Let me try to make it bigger. Oh yeah, that's plenty big. Oh hey, but look at this guy. This guy was in Pathologic too, so they may be reusing some character models. Okay, let's go over these pages of the doctor's ledger first. Over here we have... Wait, what? Okay, these are Maria and Peter's names. So we're gonna have patient files on the bound then. And this Vasily here, he must be a new named character. Although he does share the character model of a standard guard NPC, this guy seems like he'll be more than the standard guard NPC. And it seems like Peter's page needs some kind of attention. So... Oh, okay, let's move on to over here in the diagnosis. Because I assume that whatever this attention may be, may have to do with this diagnosis, because it looks like you might have to click on certain things here to properly diagnose people, maybe? So let's see. Our friend Vasily here is suffering from lymphotonitis. Headache, dizziness, itchy skin, insect bites, ulcers, and weakness. Yeah, this is looking out to be a gross game, probably. Not like I'm gonna enjoy it, though. That sounds interesting. We're going full doctor route here. Yeah, I'm not sure what, but it certainly looks like you can click on these things. Maybe, like, Maybe all of these things are symptoms of lymphonitis, and you have to select specifically which ones this patient is suffering from. Same with burning fever here, headache, memory issues, loss of coordination, ulcers, fever, eczema, step, gastrodermal fever. Interesting. Photosensitivity, bulimia, belching, nausea. Oh, wow. And measles. And then it looks like this page scrolls down more, so I'm sure there's lots of afflictions people can have. This does seem very interesting, though. We really are going full doctor. Okay, let's go back here. So, up top we have... Oh, I didn't even notice this at the very top. So it seems like we're on the people page, which means the doctor's ledger replaces our bound list, kind of. It looks like that's what happens here. We also have our inventory up here, things, and then thoughts. I kind of assumed that this doctor's ledger would replace our mind map and our thoughts just based off the look of it, but it seems like that's not the case. And then obviously town map over there. And we're also on day 8. Oh, okay. Now let's head. I'm kind of jumping all over this place, but down here I've noticed that we have diagnosed Vasilis with lymphonitis. I assume these we've like already clicked on these or something, and we have decided because like these ones are kind of grayed out and these ones are lit up. And so I assume Vasilis here just had the most amount of symptoms from lymphonitis, and we've diagnosed him with that. Oh, and look, Dankovsky's signature stamp. Okay, let's go over the patient file. Well, I mean, let me mention this. And then we have previous day, next day, and then all files. Ah. Okay, here's Vasilis the guard. Age 42, single occupation worker. Date of admission 0809. Residence, the Crude Sprawl. Looks like, oh, this is where the interview part happens. Medical interview. He has mentioned in his interview that he drinks a lot. And so Dankovsky has written down alcohol abuse. And then his own complaints: headache, dizziness, itchy skin, bloody ulcers on the back and chest, and weakness, which does line up with the lymphonitis diagnosis over here. And then suspected symptoms: sore throat, we have headache, circled, dizziness. I assume this page is more of just an extension of the diagnosis page. You can maybe circling the symptoms in these areas will like help you out on the diagnosis, because it seems like this might be a long list. Maybe circling, say, headache and dizziness will bump all the things that have headache and dizziness in it up a bit so that you don't really have to memorize everything and look through everything. Yeah, this just seems like to help out with the diagnosis, the suspected symptoms page. Anyway, this whole ledger is very interesting though. I love the overall look of it. I'm very interested in seeing what the pages on Peter and Maria look like. Because I assume there would be more information, because obviously they're bound and they're more important than, sorry, Vasily over here. Alright, well, I think we've taken a look at everything they have shown us here. I don't think I'm missing anything hidden in these pictures. So, let me know what you think about all this. What are your thoughts on this new hospital mechanic? Personally, I'm very interested. I think this seems very fun. I feel like the other information we've had so far didn't sound fun, but this whole diagnosis patient thing sounds very interesting, and I can't wait to finally test this out. Well, let me know what you think about everything. I'll have this article linked in the description so that you can take a look at it for yourself. That's it for me. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.